Let National Caribbean Insurance give you the peace of mind that you so deserve. At NCI, we offer a suite of affordable insurance plans that can be tailored to ease your financial burden. We aim to deliver exceptional products to satisfy all your insurance needs. Whether life, health, motor, or property insurance, NCI has the right solution for you. Our friendly and knowledgeable sales professionals are ready and able to assist you. Let National Caribbean Insurance Company Limited help you to prepare for the unexpected. We serve, we protect, we satisfy. That's NCI.
This message brought to you by ZIZ and the Fire Department of St. Kitts and Nevis.
I am Woman Fire Officer Mavis White Archibald with your safety tip for today. Did you know that if a fire starts in your home, you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape? During a fire, early warning from a working smoke alarm plus a fire escape plan that has been practiced regularly can save lives.
This message was brought to you by ZIZ and the St. Kitts Nevis Fire Department.
All right, man, welcome back to the show. It's now 9:31 in the studio. It's a weekly program every Tuesday morning at 9:30. We open our platform to the fire officers of the St. Kitts and Nevis Fire and Rescue Services to share their concerns, enlighten the public, and share some tips as well from time to time. Talking about tips, well, this morning is not so much about tips. This morning is more about awareness for those of you who are getting ready for the busy season in terms of carnival, in terms of Christmas events, concerts, outing, picnics. You might have a dance on a lawn or an open area, or you might have a breakfast event coming up, and you might be asking yourself, well, why is it important to invite the fire and rescue services to your event planning? We're going to share with you why you should consider this as part of your planning process going forward. In the studio to help me share the information, I have Mr. Blois and Mr. Clark from the Fire and Rescue Services here in St. Kitts and Nevis. But before I let them introduce themselves, I just want you to know the lines will be open and you can call in at any time, interject at any time if you have a concern or a question, or you might be seeking clarification on something either Mr. Blois or Mr. Clark will be sharing this morning. The numbers to call, 465-2555, 662-8674, and lastly, 718-577-2916. Gentlemen, welcome to the studio once again.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having us here once again.
Good morning, Jacob. Thanks for having us here.
All right. I know I indicate that you can call us any time, but at least as a start the conversation first.
Somebody's already calling.
Yeah, they're already calling. Let us at least put the meat on the table first, and then we can go from there. Mr. Blois, you're going to start the conversation?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. As GQ just alluded to us, we're here to discuss this morning why is it essentially important to have fire department a part of a planning committee for any event, no matter the magnitude of it, whether small or big. Now, I'll try to expound on 7 points today, which is risk assessment and emergency planning, compliance with safety regulations, crowd management and evacuation planning, on-site emergency preparations, training of event staff, collaboration with other emergency services, because we are not trying to do it by ourselves. Mm-hmm. We are a part of an emergency fraternity, so we collaborate with other emergency responders, and public confidence and trust. So these points here I would like to expound further on as we go through the course of the day to kind of make the public more aware as to why fire department is important.
And with your permission,
yes.
Right, I don't want to rush it. So
no problem.
If we don't get through this morning, we can always come back with a part.
Definitely.
Because the whole point of this one is to make sure people
Get the understanding.
Yeah.
I understand that.
All right, so let's start with risk assessment part of it and the emergency part of it.
Yes. Okay. So we have what we call is a fire prevention unit. Not additional, that excluding that, we have fire officers that are well equipped, specialized, knowledgeable, theoretical and practical in regards to risk assessment and emergency planning. So having any fire officer with the approval of the fire chief itself, a part of your planning committee, you directly know that you have a sense of knowledge about fire safety. What we come to recognize is that in planning an event, most event promoters or coordinators, we think about the security of our patrons, but do we think about the safety? And I would say yes, we think about the safety. How do we think about the safety? To make sure that the police is on site, to make sure that we don't have any escalation of verbal or physical altercation. But do we plan about fire safety itself? Because we have caterers there, we have on-site vendors there, but do we think about those escalating to a fire? Now, having that knowledge, now we go into being a part of it, teaching the vendors, educating the staff, being on-site. Being on site, it sends a whole message itself to the patrons that if it escalates to anything beyond a first aid fire, which the staff would be trained to, guess what you have right there? The fire officers to deal with that situation before it escalates into something bigger and become a catastrophe itself. So this is one thing itself, risk assessment. So you will have your staff trained, you'll have the fire officers on site, and you'll have the vendors itself be knowledgeable about what to do if a fire starts. So that's part one.
Well, before we continue from part one, though, you have a number of different type of events. So let's say an event now has nothing in the individual mind that, is not fire oriented. We're not going to be doing any cooking. We're not going to be doing anything. Do they still need to have you guys there?
They definitely do. And here's why they do need to have that. When it comes to crowd management, evacuation planning, and regulations, adherence to. Now, we go to events, we see in events, but do we see fire extinguishers at these events? Now, some events would be in a housing area, that is an enclosed area, but do we see fire stations at those events? So these are things that people need to be compliant with. Even to have a simple fire extinguisher at these events is part of compliance for us as fire officers. So being a part of the committee itself, we would ensure that all of these compliance are met. Evacuation planning, crowd management. We as fire officers are trained and knowledgeable enough to work alongside with police, and hear me carefully, work alongside with police and the medical fraternity to establish a proper evacuation plan and crowd management strategy for any event.
Now, so when we think to this stuff, all right, this sounds very, very elaborate. This sounds very intricate, and this sounds like it's going to cost. Is there a cost to it? Is this putting event planners and promoters out of their way to incur other expenses that they weren't planning for to have you guys there?
No.
For the initial conversation?
That would be Mr. Clark's part now.
Okay.
Because he really green.
All right, Mr.
So he's
Clark.
a part of administration.
All right, Mr. Clark.
Basically, we morning. Thank, very good discussion. That is something we on that is on the table, on the books for us to make a decision on. So, very in short, before the season starts, you should be able to answer that question about the costing.
Okay. Yes. All right. Is this something that it's planning? Is this something going forward that you would like to be mandatory while you're here this morning, having this awareness campaign as it relates to events coming up, and why the fire and rescue services should be considered to be a part of the planning, the initial planning stage?
Yes, basically, yes, we have to be. Know that going forward, we have to draw the line. Oh, this is serious time. We have to take in consideration the amount of persons, the venue, what suppression system they have in place for extinguishers and those stuff. Proper evacuation exits, not one way in, one way out. Must have multiple to prevent person trampling on one another. So all of these here, we have to put together a package that they know we have to be a part of these planning committees, and you have to go with our guidelines, right? It might cause incur costs because I have to do it without us, and we get involved. They might have to go back to the drawing board and might have to spend more money to redo it. So come and contact us. Let's have a conversation. We start to put our plan and policies together going forward. So by when we start to roll it out, everybody should know. And going forward, shouldn't be any issue on their behalf.
Okay, so this will take place as effective as now. Then that's what you're saying.
Yes.
What's the number for individuals, promoters, and organizers to call?
Yeah, go ahead.
Fire service numbers are 465-4339, 465-7167.
Give me chief number.
Second, 46525 is 115. Those are the three main numbers for our main station itself. Now, once contacted the main station, based on your location, you'll be distributed to the relevant stations in your respective areas itself. Now, one thing Mr. Clark may not have mentioned is the reduction in liability. That is one thing why fire department is so important, because once you mitigate against stampede, the reduction in liability is gone. Because it means now that you have a proper management system that deals with security, management system that deals with medical, and a management system that deals with safety. Three components in one. So it means now that your safety event, your event itself, the safety of the event has increased and the liability has reduced.
Right.
Okay?
Got you.
So that is why we want to make it as importantly noted as possible to all event promoters and planners.
Outside of this means, what are you doing to get the information out outside of this means?
Well, outside of this medium here, what do we have to reach the public, our event planners? We have our fire prevention team that goes out on a regular basis, and they go to different schools, different committees, and they advocate the safety message itself. Now, they are part of different committees like Carnival. They are part of that. They are part of the CPL, the cricket and stuff like that. So those major events, fire department is involved. Now, we are speaking of everybody, a holistic approach now. So just don't leave it to a national event. Let's leave it to a private event. Incorporate everyone. So once you have the fire department with the police and the medical persons there, you know that you have three persons dealing with one event, and you have a marvelous event going forward.
I know you made mention of no matter how small the event may be, that might cause some concern for individuals.
It might.
Yeah.
It might cause some concerns for individuals, the small amount, because we're looking at, let's use a random small event, birthday party at Frigate Bellon. It's an open area. Okay? So why do you need the fire department there? Let's say you have caterers, and your caterers use those canned things that they have under the heating pad. Now, if one of those catch the clot, what would happen to the clot now? The clot will start catching fire. Now, it's a low vegetation area. Now, if that clot is basically moved, guess where it's going? On the ground. What's on the ground? The grass.
Right, the vegetation, right?
And the low vegetation, and then basically those ignition temperature is greater than others. So what would be spreading there now? A simple fire.
Right.
So having a simple fire extinguisher at that small gathering, you eliminate a lot of different stuff.
Okay, so you're not saying that you will be present at every small event, but you're saying have the conversation so at least you know
educated
that, okay, there's an event happening at Frigate Bay. It's a small event, but we spoke to them, and they have all the necessary, they are compliant, more or less.
Basically that. Once you're being compliant, it means that we know that you are safe to the part of an incipient stage that you can manage yourself. Once it it gets beyond the incipient stage, which is the small fires that deals with the extinguisher, it means now that we have the knowledge that, okay, this is where we're going. This is what we have here, 20 persons, 50 persons, 100 persons. So we know exactly, that is a part of our pre-assessment coming to deal with the situation. So we know exactly what we're dealing with. So it's everybody working together for the safety of the nation itself.
465-2555. The lines are now open for those of you who would like to get in with questions of your own or concerns. That's 465-2555, 662-8674, 718-577-2916. Before we continue, Mr. Blois, anything from your end that you would like to add, Mr. Clark, that we didn't... Hold on. Can you pull on your headphones there, guys? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you.
I have a question for the fire officers about an information on one of your ads.
Go ahead.
The advertisement that you had was talking about different ways to prevent fires. And one of the sections had to do with smoking. It said to smoke outside, it said and nobody with oxygen and all them things. But one of the things they listed was using fire-safe cigarettes. You understand?
We're listening.
Okay. I've smoked for over 50 years. And I have never seen any place advertise smoke or fire-safe cigarettes. What is a fire-safe cigarette?
Okay. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your question. Fire-safe cigarettes are the vapors. We call it vapors. So that would be the information for that call itself.
Okay. 465-2555. Thank you for your question once again, sir. 662-8674 and 718-577-2916. We are discussing or bringing the awareness to the public about planning events and why you should have the fire officers a part of your initial planning stage before you have your event, in terms of being compliant and making sure that everything is in order. So more or less, you're going to give guidance. You're going to say, well, okay, well, you're thinking about police, which is security. You're thinking about security guards. You're thinking about this, but you might not be thinking about that. So you'll point out the areas that are missing.
Yep. So that's basically what we do. The observation was made on several instances where the initial focus is on the security of the patients. The initial focus is on the medical aspect of the patients, but we are not seeing an emphasis on the focus on the safety of the patients, which it deals with crowd management itself. It's a large gathering, they inherit the risk of accidents or any emergencies. It could be a security emergency, it could be a medical emergency, or it could be a safety emergency. Now, fire department has specialized street personnels that deals with crowd management. They would be able to tell you that this facility here itself, it could accommodate up to 20 persons, up to 50 persons, or it has the ability to accommodate 100 persons or more. But we must work together as emergency responders in this nation to develop an evacuation route itself that's accommodating to all of us.
Okay. Mr. Clark, anything we missed, or are we on point? Something you would like to add?
Signage is very important. Exit signs above the door. So we say we need more than one exit, if possible. So there must be a certain color. We use red or green.
Nationally, we use green for eggs. Green for America use green.
Yeah.
We use red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need those signage for person to see exactly where the signs are. Bathrooms should be labeled as well. Because person in an event just want to use any door. So if you have the bathroom, the kitchen, everything labeled. You have a smoke fire extinguishers. They also need to be labeled, and might have a little instructions place closest. Suppose I'm gonna pull, aim, squeeze, sweep, and these signage. So the signage are very important, and a pre-evacuation drill or walkthrough is very important, because it will make any sense. You have a small door, the size of the door, and as it relates to the amount of patients inside, we just got 3-4 persons cannot run through that door. So you can have maybe the security guards or the safety officer to let them know, hey, even though it's in the emergency, person doesn't want to get out, but it must be done coordinated, and it must be done safely. So these are where training comes in, and we are the ones who can assist in that regard.
Now, here's a question for you. It's the obvious one, but so let me ask it. If compliance are not met, will the organizer, the event organizer, the promoter get permission to do his or her function?
Now, this is where collaboration and unification comes in. You may not be in compliance with the medical requirements. You may not be in compliance with the safety requirements, which is the fire department, but you're in compliance with the security aspect itself. Now, I don't see an event going forward if you're not in compliance with all three, because you want the emergency fraternity to be a part of your event itself. So it is just incumbent on you, the promoter or the planner itself, to be compliant with all emergency responders. So I would not go down the line to say you would not be approved. What I would go down the line to say, I would urge you to be in compliance with all emergency responders.
Thanks for answering that question. So, good morning, Your Life.
Yes, good morning. A pleasant Tuesday morning to everyone there in the studio. I stepped away for a few seconds, so the question might have been asked, and I did not hear it. But I'm listening clearly to everything that the two gentlemen is just saying, which he has a lot of rights and a lot of facts in it. Is there a cost efficient that comes with it if you're going to ask for fire department, police security, whatever? I also agree with the issues of the situations with the doors, because too many times you have events where there's only one door in, one door out, not a door large enough to take a rush of a crowd out. There's always never a back door in case of emergencies. If you have things that is happening on a lawn or, outdoors, it's a difference to when you have things in a hall inside. And I also think that we need to go back to the days when we used to mark doors, exit, mark doors. Sometimes you walk into a place, a building, and you may see 2 doors or 3 doors, the one you enter and a door on the other side or a door in the back, but they're not marked. At the same time, they are locked. And this is where you find that you got a lot of issues that will come about if there should be a fire breakout or a fight or something, anything that could cause people bodily harm. So we need to go back to that and get doors marked. The venues, inside venues that are hosting these things, I think someone should go and do an inspection, not just asking for security or the fire department to be there. We need to put a lot of stuff back on the books, because too many things have been let go over the years that needs to be in place. Thank you so much for listening. Do have a pleasant day. God bless.
God bless you too. Thanks for your questions.
Thank you.
And we want to thank you very much for your questions, because they highlight a lot of deficiencies that we face in our federations. And yes, Mr. Clark hinted to the signage that we see, in minimal signage at these events. And yes, you spoke about the costing. So for now, the dialogue itself is a free dialogue. However, going forward, because we're presently in the legislation amendment conversations, we are discussing the cost in itself, but for now it is actually free. So we encourage persons to enjoy the freedom that is there. Okay?
All right. Good morning, Your Life.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you.
Yes.
My good friend there from down the other side by us, she make a valid point just a while ago. And it's good when people abroad, criticians, Nivisions, could tap in on these shows, because these things used to happen long time. And the whole gallery, you have to mark these buildings. You got to put signage on these doors. And we ain't seen it. And the chief up in the fire hall must understand. There's where we got to go back. Because we got some callous people doing callous things. Have a good day. GQ, this is Jam Down.
Respect, Jam Down. Thanks for your input. Thanks for your input and showing support to the caller before. It's now 6 minutes more to now 10 o'clock, 9:54 in the studio. We're taking your calls, your questions, your concerns. This morning, discussion is about why it is important to invite the fire and rescue officers to your initial planning stage or meetings before your event. It's to make sure that you are compliant with crowd control, risk assessment, emergency assessment as well, and the list goes on and on. If you do have any questions, you can call in. Mr. Blois, you were saying something before the call came in?
No, I was saying that, we are approaching the carnival seasons and we'll be having a lot of different binge events. Mm-hmm. So as such, the conversations needs to start early because we're having these many binge events.
All right. Good morning, you're live.
Hey, good morning, my boy.
Hey, good morning, my boy.
And good morning to the listeners home and abroad. Carl Brown here.
Yes, ma'am.
Fire officers, as we all are talking about safety and fire department should be a part of planning committee of every event. I support that very strongly. But one of the things is that a lot of the events them does hold in upstairs building and is one door in, one set of steps up. And some of these events are held in upstairs building. There is no fire escape in the back, no back door, no fire escape ladder. And these buildings host events annually. Not only that, when we look around the whole entire St. Kitts Nevis, lots of businesses entertain large amounts of customers, especially banks and insurance companies. And it's one straight door in, one straight step in and out. That those things need to be corrected. Me and you guys always talk about this. Those things need to be corrected. In case of a stampede, lots of people could be dying because everybody is running to the same exit. The same way you came in, the same way you're going to run to go out. So the fire may not kill or injure anybody, but the stampede at the crowd, running to the one entrance, that could cause a lot of deaths. And the fire didn't do a harm, but except to the building. So that's one thing you guys need to sit probably with the building board and, maybe sit with the banks, the people who give the loans to build these heck of a building, and then it's just one straight up, one straight down. So we have to watch that, and our functions, them are getting very, very large in numbers. And when you have 200 people in a place we're supposed to hold 100, that's very risky there. In case of a fire, and the stamping going to damage and injure and possibly kill a number of persons. So you guys could look into that with the other committees and, organizations that we... And one thing I noticed is that some of these high buildings have very limited fire extinguishers. Very limited. And they need to check often again.
All right, Carl. Thanks for your call. We're going to make that our final call based on time. I'll let you guys respond. Go ahead.
All right. That is indeed a mouthful. Yes, we are knowledgeable enough about all the situations and all the deficiencies. However, we are not in the business to tell everybody to demolish their building and reconstruct a new building that is in fire regulation. What we would educate the public is about crowd management. Because, yes, we understand that you have one exit, one entrance, but we need to have the conversation about crowd management.
Right.
So once we have that conversation, we can mitigate to some level of stampede. Okay? So since that was our final call, allow me to use this short minute to thank you for having us here and to continue this conversation that will be continued by next week. So thank you for having us, and that is my final word here today.
Same as well, Jacob. Thank you, and see you next week.
All right, man. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And stay tuned. We have more for you here on The Morning Show. The Morning Show is coming to your compliments to Cable, Smart Electronics, Courts, Domino's, and National Bank.
This message brought to you by ZIZ and the Fire Department of